Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about shower gel, running, and we have part 2 of our interview with Lauren Janus from Phila Engaged Giving.
Welcome to the Kindness Project. I am John. Charlotte's laughing already because I've just asked both of them to bring the energy, and I went and overdid it with the energy, didn't I, listeners? Come on, that is true. I am joined by a man I am going to affectionately now call Cuphead, and because she's subbing on a juice, a girl that I'm going to call Bottle Girl. It's Russ and Charlotte. How are we doing today?
Good, it's good juice.
I feel like a cuphead.
Right, we are feeling for you, Russ, because you have got a bit of a cold today, haven't you?
I have been there in these past couple of weeks, Russ. I absolutely have.
Well, I mean, as we record this, we're coming into the autumn, so like the expectation is that we're all going to pick up little sort of wheezes and coughs and colds, right?
Yep.
Well,
Russ's reaction was amazing there, Charlotte. Do you hear him? He just went,
What I'm going to do is I'm going to record this and then I'm going to go and have some warm honey and lemon.
Yeah.
Climb in bed.
Climb in bed. Are you going to get somebody to rub your chest, Russ?
No.
Oh, that might be. How about a bit of Vicks?
I haven't got any here.
I've got lemon juice, and it is my favourite thing in the entire world.
What, to rub into your body, lemon juice?
No, to absorb into my body through my throat.
Well, you rub it into your throat?
Yep, exactly.
She takes it in through her mouth and down her throat.
Right, so are you rubbing it in anywhere?
Yeah, when I'm swallowing it, I'm rubbing it into my throat with my swallowing motion.
No, that's called swallowing. That's not called rubbing it into your throat.
Look at the hand motion,
Dad.
Maybe if you go like that. Sorry, I forgot this is a podcast. That is about as good as useless on a podcast, isn't it?
Talking of rubbing stuff in, you know what is good? If you're feeling a little under the weather, a shower with some nice mint and tea tree herbal essence.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. That what's it called? Original Source stuff.
Yeah, original sauce. That's the one I meant.
Other products are available, and if Original Source want to send us a few bottles, other products won't be available. We'll never talk about them again.
They used to be.
But my personal favourite is Original Source.
Yeah, Original Sauce, mint and tea tree.
Yeah, I do wonder though how they make it tingle. Do you know what I mean? Because it's got like a little.
It's got
just,
like
you put it on your body and it just tingles a bit.
Yeah, when you get up your nose on it, it's got like a peppery.
Yes, no, I know what you mean.
Russ, what are you doing with it? How are you getting it inside your nose?
I'm not snorting it, but when it lavers up.
Yeah, when you make too many bubbles and they flop into your face.
It gets up your nose.
Yeah, it's real bad.
What are you two doing that so many Original Source bubbles get up your nose? This is an issue.
Yeah.
I don't. When does this happen?
I mean, you're the outlier, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the outlier on this podcast, but what I need, listeners, is a bit of validation. Have you ever, unofficial question of the podcast, have you ever got Original Source shower gel so far up your nose that it's made it? Maybe that is a solution to your cold.
It doesn't even have to go that far. It doesn't even have to go that far up. It's just like at the entryway.
Right, how far does it need to go?
Just anywhere in, and then you're in trouble.
Shouldn't be going anywhere in. If you've got that problem, come up your nose.
Yeah, like right there, just underneath the nostrils, and then it hurts.
Right, are you two painting on an Original Source moustache just to? Is that what's happening here?
No, when you wipe your face with it.
That's right.
Yeah, when you clean your face.
Clean your what?
Well, you are looking a little dark, so maybe you've not cleaned your face in a while. But
this is my natural complexion, Russ. You have known me for 40. How old are you now? 42 years. So it's yeah, this is my natural.
It pains me to
sound.
admit it, but I have.
You have. We've known each other for a long time. That is the unofficial question of the podcast. Anybody else sniffing mint and tea tree original sauce so that it creates an itchy nose? If you have, let us know. And you can get in touch with us in the following ways.
On Twitter, we're at Ola Kindness. On Facebook, if
If you can bundle.
I've been to Cotton Eye Joe.
Sorry, is that mint and tea tree again? Have you got mint and tea tree nostril when you got a?
No, I put too much lemon juice in my concentrate.
Go on.
Well, I've been to Cotton Eye Joe.
Where have you got to? Whether you know where
Anyway,
have
on
you got to?
On Facebook, if you type the Kindness Project podcast, if you type the same thing into Google, we should be the first thing that comes up both times. And if not, oh no. If you want to email us directly, it's ola@thekindnessproject.co.uk. If you want to find our website, you can either go to the Google link or you can go to www.thekindnessprojectpodcast. That might be wrong. I think I've
www.thekindnessproject.co.uk.
Yeah, don't put the podcast into the website one. And if you want to see why Dad is pulling a face, even though you can't see it as listeners of the podcast, you can hit him up on Twitter directly, but not Facebook because things went bad.
Listen, I got hacked, and I made a conscious choice not to open up my Facebook again. That is all that happened.
And since then, we have not had as many good answers to the question of the podcast.
Well, the problem is a lot of the good answers to the question of the podcast. People hit me up on Facebook directly, didn't they? And unfortunately, now I'm not on Facebook and is made a conscious choice not to go on Facebook anymore. We
are having issues.
We are. So we are pleading with you, listeners. Please, we know there's a lot of you. We would love a few more questions of the podcast. Please get in touch and let us know what you think of the current question of the podcast, which is, what's your favourite running song? So what song do you just get out there and run to? Charlotte?
I don't.
No.
Russ?
As I explained to you the other day, I don't run, but I've started going to the gym.
Yeah.
And
is this where there's original resource up the nose addiction came from? You thought it'd give you an extra boost?
I'm always like them funny smelling stuff when you get in the shower. So I used to use stuff from Avon called Strawberries and Cream.
Right.
That was fabulous. Out of this world.
Right.
You ever used anything with orange or citrus? Because those are my favourites.
No,
I'll tell you what they are. Can we have a proper question of the podcast coming up, all about shower gels?
Yeah.
I want to talk shower gels.
I bought myself a citrus one the other day.
I haven't tried citrus yet. What was that called, Charlotte?
I don't know. I can go and get it, but
this is like, I mean, genuinely, we are recording a podcast, and it's like what you talk about at 2 PM when you're bored, isn't it? Oh, what's your favourite shower gel?
It was like orange and something. Yeah, it's off-brand, but
what would be the most bizarre shower gel conversation? Not conversation. Combination. What would be the strangest shower gel combination? Marmite and socks.
I tried the kiwi one before.
Right.
Kiwi's good.
And it just smelled like nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not talking about the smell of nothing, because if it's like soap doesn't really smell of anything, does it? But what would be the one that you'd actively avoid, smell-wise?
Is this a personal thing, or is this?
Yeah, go for a personal.
There's certain
personal
things that I don't like the smell of. Like there's some like herbs and spices that I cannot stand the smell of.
You know what? I love the fact, Charlotte, you didn't pronounce the H again. Herbs. What's an herb?
I think for me, summer breeze and cowpat would do it.
I mean, when you said summer breeze, Russ, I'm thinking, actually, summer breeze I can live with. When you added the cowpat, then the summer breeze brought on a new
But
different context.
I live in the countryside, so summer breeze for me is when they're manure in the fields.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know,
So
you know what would be really bad?
yeah.
Middle ages miasma would be a really bad.
So yeah, the combination again.
Middle ages miasma.
Middle ages miasma.
Yeah.
I don't even understand that phrase, Charlotte. Explain it to me.
Middle ages, the time period, the
Middle
section
ages.
of time.
The age raspberries right now, yeah.
That's what they used to get on their clothes.
So they used to believe that bad smells and
Yeah, I've
stuff,
seen it somewhere before.
caused diseases, and they called it miasma when the air was sort of toxic and bad. And they were partially right because of communicable diseases through the air. But they just thought the air was bad, and it was just like, oh, this air is stinky.
So what does middle ages miasma smell of?
I don't know, but it's not good.
No. I don't think you're going to market that as a shower gel anytime soon. Have you?
No.
Neither cowpat flavour.
Although you should be marketing the excellent work you do on your website.
You should. Well, good plug. Are we plugging now? Is that what we're doing? We're plugging.
Yeah,
let's get into the plug zone. You want to go first, Charlotte?
What have I got to plug? The website, Charlotte Dames.
I've got a new website. I'm launching a new product.
Well, that went completely wrong.
Cowpat.com, cowpatshowergel.com. Apparently, there's a very niche market for it.
Newest article this week, moving on from the cowpat thing. So Thursday's article, there'll be a new one up by the time this episode is posted, but probably. The latest article that I've written is on Regency, literature specifically. So fun fact from that, the Regency period is called the Regency period because it was the 9 years when when George IV was Prince Regent rather than king.
Okay.
So he became king in 1820, but from 1811 to 1820 he was Prince Regent because while his dad had gone insane, he was still alive and therefore
he was
king.
George III.
George III, yes, exactly.
Yeah, I remember.
So that 9 years is what's technically considered the Regency period.
So he was in control.
Yeah.
Because his dad went a bit loony.
But he wasn't king, he was Prince Regent, and therefore it's called the Regency period.
Yeah.
And while it only lasted 9 years, from 1811 to 1820, it's actually considered to be as long as 1790 to 1830.
What's that?
I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. Loads of sources were saying it, and I was like, why?
Yeah, I don't know. But Russ has just disappeared, Charlotte, and I'm hoping he's still recording. But you might have just bored him to tears. I think you might have just. I do that a lot.
I do that a lot.
I don't. I mean, I don't know. He's going to get a tissue. He loved it, Charlotte, and actually, all he was doing was getting a tissue through his nose.
I was getting a bit teary about the
Regency period. The Regency. Yeah, right. So let's go back to the question of the podcast, and I'm going to play you a few snippets from my marathon training playlist. You've got to name the song. Now, Russ,
I don't know if this is going to go.
We were talking about this the other day.
Sorry, just hold on. We're not allowed to do that because of copyright.
Well, I'm going to play 3 seconds and see if we can get away with it. All right, you ready?
Okay.
That take me back to London.
Right. Bye. Russ, you told me the other day this is your new favourite artist.
I know it's Stormzy, Ed Sheeran, Archie,
No, H.
H. And
Right.
there's someone else. I can't remember who he is though. The Birmingham guy.
Yeah, right, you ready? Charlotte, this is your one.
No, you can't play any more than that.
Oh, that's take. Oh, it's not take my breath away. It's
No, there was two different songs there. Charlotte's one is this one.
I don't know.
Do you know Russ?
no. The other
No
one.
no
the other
church
one
in
is-
the wild.
The other one is from Top Gun though.
It is. It's Kenny Loggins and Danger Zone. And we'll have one more. Are you ready?
No.
Oh, right, you ready? Charlotte, this is on you. You ready?
No, I haven't got it.
For the Kill by LaRue. Oh, that is an amazing running song. So I've got a very wide collection, including songs from the songs that used to play on some of my games in the 1980s when I owned a Commodore 64.
Oh,
You can't get much geekier than that. On my running playlist, I've got Monty on the Run, and I've got The Thing on the Spring.
Are we
And,
talking amp up playlists?
Sorry?
Like songs that get you like amped
That-
up?
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
exactly
well, I mean-
what I like when I'm working out. I like songs that build up and then peak around the middle.
Right. Well, no, I don't know though. I mean, the best one, as you're on your Ed Sheeran bit, is Ed Sheeran and Rudimental Bloodstream, because that starts slow and then kicks in about halfway through. Give that a
That's
go.
exactly
Russ.
what I like.
So,
Yeah,
Oh, and
what
then,
songs are you listening to in the gym?
Alex Clare.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
I
which you
put in
played me
Action
yesterday, didn't you?
Destiny, yeah.
Yeah,
And then I'm listening to Take Me Back to London.
yeah.
Ed
So
Sheeran.
you just got two songs on repeat, have you?
No, I've got a few, but I don't have a playlist. They play music in there,
Gotcha.
so
Gotcha.
it's all upbeat dance sort of stuff in there.
Yeah, all good. Charlotte, what's on your pumped up playlist?
Well, I think I've actually sent you my pumped up playlist several times, and it's grown from like I think it was just half an hour when I started it. It's now a 4.5 hour playlist.
Amazing.
How do I get access to your playlist though?
I can send them.
Because I've got Spotify, but I don't really use it.
Well,
Yeah,
whose
isn't it?
playlist do you want, Russ?
I'll give your one a go. I quite like some of the songs on your one.
Okay,
I'll
I
have
will
a
send you
list.
my 2022
I'll have a list.
playlist, and I will ignore the fact you just insulted Charlotte by turning around and going,
Come
sorry,
on,
mate.
I'll have a
Sorry, mate, your
listen to-
playlist ain't for me.
I'll have a listen to Charlotte's.
Yeah, my
I'll have a peruse, Charlotte. I'm not guaranteeing anything.
there are some Chris Dames approved songs on there. To be fair. Achilles Come Down, Jennifer
Oh,
Flowers,
yes. What a
Here's the
track.
Thing. I think I played you another night on Mars once.
Yeah, yeah. You know what that sounds like, Charlotte? That sounds like that politician. My name's Chris Davis, and I approve this playlist. All right, chaps, let's move on. Oh, sorry, we did one plug, didn't we? We did the charlottedames.com plug.
Let's not forget our book.
Let's not
Plug the
forget our book. The book is coming out, ladies and gents. All of the people we gave a little sneaky beat to have all said some amazingly kind and nice things about it.
They'll
So
be
thank
with me.
you. Thank you. Should we give some of them a shout out, Russ? Thank you
Yeah.
to
David Forsyth,
Dave Forsdyke,
Legend.
Keith Boyce, Lauren Janus,
right?
Mike Calder,
Yeah,
Nick Elston,
yeah.
who we've interviewed, Patrick Luong.
Patrick Luong, who's coming back on the show soon.
Yeah, he'll be back on soon. Sally McAnally,
Yeah,
Sam Chilton Cox,
yeah.
and I can never say her name. Besenti, Hanari, who we've interviewed.
Well, thank you to everybody who's given us a review so far. I've said nice things about it. If you'd like to find out a bit more about the book, go to www.thekindnessproject.co.uk
/book.
/book, and you can sign up to find out on the day it comes out where you can get access to the book. We would love for you to be one of the first people who read the book, and we'd love to hear what you
What
think.
we're also going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is releasing segments of the testimonials for the book in image form with a link to.
Yeah. And check me out on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me
And
at Chris
Twitter.
Dames. LinkedIn and Twitter. Find me on either of those platforms. Yeah, you'll be hearing a lot more about the book over the next few weeks. The release date of the book, Raz, is when?
17th of November.
So we've got a release date. You know what, Charlotte? It was really funny. Day one, I listened to the first podcast we did. Not recently, actually, a few months ago. But the interesting thing is, the first thing I said on the podcast is, I'm writing a book. And it's only taken me 5 years. Hopefully the next book will be a bit quicker, but we'll see. On that note, thank you if you're signing up to the list and wanting to hear more about the book. Let's move on to a little bit of
Kindness News.
what we've been doing as part of Kindness News over the last few weeks is showcasing amazing people who made it to the Independent's top 100 happiest people. And the first one I wanted to showcase is a lady called Beryl Carr. Beryl Carr is 100 years old, and she is the NHS's oldest volunteer. She started volunteering at Ealing Hospital's League of Friends. So basically, they run the cafe in the hospital, and she began giving up her time to work in the cafe and has served teas and snacks to thousands of hospital patients and visitors. She continues to volunteer once a month, giving 4 hours of her time a week. And the grandmother of one says, I can't think of anything worse than spending all day in front of the television. I love the fact that that job effectively allows her to, even at 100, give back. I love that. That's amazing. Tell us a little bit about Thompson Chalk, Charlotte.
Thompson spreads so much joy with his enthusiasm and zest for life, says one of the people who nominated him. Thompson, who lives in Reading, has been a British resident for almost 20 years after leaving Zimbabwe during the early 2000s, as well as volunteering at Reading Refugee Support Group, where he runs a football team. He also works at Prior's Court, a residential special school for young people with complex autism. Thompson has transformed the lives of many of Prior's Court young people, forming incredible relationships with them. Any time spent with Thompson is a happy experience.
I love that. And well done to both Beryl and Thompson. Let's move on to the interview. We've got the second part of our interview with Lauren Janus. Lauren talks about philanthropy, helps people work out how to give away money effectively in a way that's meaningful for them. And every time I speak to Lauren, I always learn something new. You mentioned about the 4 T's: treasure, talent, and time. What was the other one?
The last one is testimony. So
Right.
that's really going out and talking to your network saying, look, there's this small grassroots charity that's, community led, that's doing work that is just fabulous. You would never hear about them on, the Comic Relief or any kind of big name. They don't have a charity shop, and they are doing phenomenal work. And I really encourage you to join me in giving.
Sure. So extend their network, using their connections, and say, and do you find that for the families that you work with and represent, there's a real sort of connection to charities that normally wouldn't get the support from sort of big organisations?
Oh, absolutely, Chris. I mean, and that's really the heart of our work. And that particularly in the United States, we're going through a real racial reckoning right now, and really forcing ourselves to look at the way that we've treated BIPOC or marginalized communities in the United States. And what we're trying to do with our clients is help them go beyond the big charities and really look for organizations that are founded and run by Black, Indigenous persons of color, and support them, because they are so tremendously underfunded compared to the white-led organizations. It's something like I was just looking at the numbers yesterday, but it's shocking the disparity in funding. So we're helping.
What's the reasons behind that, you think?
I mean, I think the fundamental one is of systemic racism that's been going on in the United States since our country's founding. Our country has a massive racial wealth gap, as does the UK. I was looking at that. And when you look at those numbers and see the amount of household wealth a typical white family has compared to a Black family, it's the only explanation can be structural racism. I mean,
I had a really interesting conversation, funny enough, with one of my clients the other day, and we were having this conversation about luck, because I consider myself incredibly lucky, and that it's always interesting when you have a conversation about luck, Lauren, because there's always that element where somebody said, "Well, it's not luck because you've worked really hard to get wherever you've got to in life," and there is an element of work and stuff like that. But I think if you've been born in a particularly wealthy country, if you've been born like I was in London, if you get because the experiences you can pick up and collect are different to other parts of the country. If you're born with a parents who want you to make the most of the opportunity you've got, that's a big one. But I think the one we underestimate sometimes is being born white, right? Being born white does give you an economic advantage that we sort of take for granted.
I fully agree, Chris. And I think we're all kind of still understanding the extent to which that is true. I mean, in terms of opportunities in school, in terms of the expectations that teachers set on white children versus Black and brown children. And as you say, I mean, fundamentally, it's economic. If your family has less money, you're going to have fewer opportunities than somebody who doesn't. And people have traditionally hired people like themselves, and that's kept some people in power, and Black people earning a whole lot less.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked about the pandemic earlier, and I know that it's impacted sort of different people in different ways. In your world, are you finding that people's perception about giving has changed post-pandemic? People have been kinder to each other. How has the landscape altered since 2020?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was looking at some of the data, and it did look like, I mean, nationally, giving went up in 2020 and 2021 because there was this massive, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Let's put money into communities, put money into arts organizations that were going to fail. Nobody was going to the theater. Nobody was going to museums. And so there was a massive push to get money out there. My understanding is that now it started to taper. And I will say with our clients, because our clients are very wealthy, I'm trying to think about, I didn't have any clients say, well, because of COVID, I want to double my giving. We just have very generous clients to begin with, and they just wanted to continue giving. Some gave, no, it's true. Some gave more, mostly to keep those facilities open, those arts organizations and small organizations.
So did you see a sort of greater focus in organisations that potentially would generate revenue pre-pandemic that was going to really struggle to keep the doors open post-pandemic because of it? It was like theatre, music, that was there a more intense focus in those areas?
I would say, and I'm dealing with a small subset because we only have, we have a small client set at any one time because we work so closely and our work is so bespoke. But so with a small sample size, I will say that my clients were very interested in, they were interested in arts to begin with. Several of them had a very strong arts focus. And so they were definitely interested in keeping the theater running, even though they couldn't have performances, and funneling more money to museums and other organizations that just frankly weren't gonna sell tickets.
Can I just say what I do love, Lauren? You can tell that you're academic because your disclaimers are amazing. By the way, I'm only working with a small subset, Chris, so therefore my I love the validation of the end result. I completely get it. But just working with a small subset is a phrase that I need to get into more conversations in my life, I think. So it has changed during the pandemic. But over the past sort of 3 to 4 years, have you seen a shift in sort of how people give money away in terms of the causes they select?
Yeah.
Looking at your small subset as a interpretation of the wider giving community.
Absolutely. From that perspective, no, absolutely. We, in the U.S., with the murder of George Floyd, that was a major wake-up call for a lot of people, and we had clients saying, "Right, we've been thinking about this for a long time. Now's the time. We need to get this money out there." This was our real wake-up call. And so we have had a lot more clients come to us with a specific interest in giving through a racial equity lens. So thinking about how to support specifically BIPOC-led organizations, and if they're white-led organizations, wanting to support them in ways that bring them more toward having a wider lens and inviting, a more diverse staff, board, operating in a way that more accurately reflects the reality of the United States population.
Really interesting. I suppose this is a sort of really difficult question to answer, but if you're trying to tackle, as you said, some of the bigger subjects like systemic racism or climate change, or can that sometimes to the families you're talking about just feel too big? Because it strikes me that, yes, these are really fundamental challenges of our time, but where do you start? So how do you find causes? I suppose it's, and again, you can tell me, this is only my sort of guess. I suppose it's causes that just do something towards solving that problem. But how do you tackle that?
Honestly, I feel overwhelmed myself. Like the idea of solving climate change, alleviating the poverty and the wealth gap in the United States. Like, I'm just one person. How am I going to fix this? And it can be overwhelming, and it can also be paralyzing. So especially to the high net worth donor, because they know they have the capacity to give. But as you say, these problems seem massive. And so what we do with our donors is really allow them to take a breath and say, right, you're not going to solve this by yourself. However, we can help get you to the point where you feel you understand your role in solving and, cooling our planet. And that means taking them on a journey where we really think about their values. We spend a lot of time talking about people's values and their experiences, particularly with money and wealth. And then introducing them to some of the organizations that are doing work in various different aspects, say climate change, and looking at where they've given already, because all of our donors that come to us are already, seasoned donors. They've already given to a lot of organizations, thinking about what they liked about that organization's approach, what they'd like to learn more about, and then introducing them to organizations they may have never heard of, and getting them excited about their work. I mean, there's a big, speaking about the racial justice side, there's a big movement in the U.S. toward environmental justice, because the effects of climate change are disproportionately affecting communities of color in the United States. And so trying to think about, well, how can you support some really small grassroots groups where you could even meet this person, like you could go out and you could talk to Susan, and create that relationship with her and her group so that you can see exactly what they're doing. You can get excited about it. You can be, importantly, the sidekick, not the superhero. We talk a lot about that because people of wealth are used to kind of taking over and being the savior. And we're really saying, nope, Susan's still the superhero. You're the sidekick. You're the one just giving her the funds and support. And really building that relationship so that you feel like you have a role in this. You're not going to solve climate change by yourself, but I am supporting.
But you can see the direct positive impact by sort of seeing it on the ground.
Exactly. And the people that are doing the work, and you can feel like you're supporting them in a very real way.
It's really interesting. So in our part of the world, there's a philanthropic organisation called the East End Community Foundation. It's run by a friend of mine, Tracy Walsh. Tracy is absolutely amazing. And one of the things that she always says is fundamentally having a relationship with the charity that you really believe in can make a real fundamental difference, can't it? And we experience it when we interview people on the podcast all the time, because a lot of it is when you've got somebody who's involved in a charity, just having that. Like the amount of times people have said to me, Chris, I've just seen how the work they do changes the lives of the people they work with, and that's what people want, don't they? They want to see the impact. And I suppose the other thing, and I don't know if you find this with your clients, but I certainly do with mine. I think people get to a point where they've got enough money, and money becomes, it becomes certainly not a concern anymore. But then the challenge you've got with that is if the acquisition of money was a purpose at one stage in their lives, they've lost that purpose because they're never going to run out, and they're far beyond running out again. So how do they then find meaning and purpose in their lives? And I think giving back and philanthropy is certainly one of those ways, right? So that was part 2 of Lauren's interview. We've got part 3 next week. Let's move on to the next part of the show.
It's the end of another podcast, but the end is never the end because the end is always the beginning of something entirely new.
And we've got 2 answers for last week's question, which is what would you sing at karaoke night? Dave Forsdyke said, Born to be Wild by Steppenwolf. Get your mother running. What's your karaoke song, Charlotte?
I don't know. I think it depends on the vibe.
Give me a vibe and give me your song then.
I don't know.
Give me an example of what vibe it might be. Chills?
I guess it depends on the environment. Like there's certain songs I wouldn't do in public.
What ones would you do in public?
Something everyone else would sing along to, so I wouldn't be the only one singing.
There's only one choice then, isn't there?
Sweet Caroline?
Exactly. Everybody sings along. What would yours be, Russ? Oh, we know what yours is.
I only ever sing karaoke when you're out.
Yeah, true.
That's usually Arsonist Lullaby by the Hoosier.
Is it the Hoosier? Is it the Hoosier? Or is it Hoosier?
It's the Hoosier.
Okay, fair enough. Heidi Bell also said, ABBA is my normal go-to. Dancing Queen will take a chance on me. But I did People Are Strange last Halloween for a change. Cassie, my wife and your mum, Charlotte, once did ABBA in Belgium on karaoke. Went down an absolute storm.
Of course it did.
So, of course it did, yeah. It was brilliant. It's good at karaoke, simply. And on that note, have a lovely week. And we'll see you next time on the Kindness Project.